Hello, God bless. I am here with the testimony that I said I was going to say. It is that time. Um, I have it here on my tablet. I typed it out in case I get flustered, and I also wanted to post it. But I have a few disclaimers before I start. Main one is I am going to be interrupted before I can say the whole thing because I have a feeling. Wait, is it on? Okay. I have a feeling that either my dad, my dogs, or anything else surrounding me is going to interrupt me a couple times because the enemy works like that. And this is going to be a long testimony. This is not just like something small. Every time I've been asked to testify, I've been told, in my spirit, you need to say the whole story. Like, oop, how you got here, um, what your life was like before me, in depth, because I can say before God, I suffered for 14 years straight, and I realized it wasn't 14 years, it was 13 years, and literally 1 month left to make it into 14 years. So the cord was cut, but it's closer to 14 years than 13 years. So that's why I'm like, but that's the first disclaimer. The second disclaimer is that if you know me, I'm not saying this for pity. I'm doing what I has. Ugh. I'm back. I'm doing this because it is what has been put on my heart for a long time. Um, I do not want anyone to change how they feel about me, to change how they see me. If anything, I want all the glory to go to God. You can like sympathize, but I don't want pity. I don't want like if your default was to like treat me like crap and walk by me, treat me like crap still, walk by me. Like if your heart is softened, that's great, but all that's glorious to God. I do not want anyone to treat me any differently. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, you know how people be like in the news when someone dies, now everybody knows them? I don't want that. However you feel about me, if it's changing, softening, great, but don't like, like don't force nothing. I want no pity. The last thing I want to say, it's already almost 3 minutes, is this is over the course of 14 years. So I'm pretty sure my remembrance of the events and the things that happened will be different than someone else's because this is trauma. And the people involved in my story, minus my ex-husband, they've changed. I don't know if he did, but I can say I've witnessed a change currently, and everyone has been going through their own thing. So I'm not saying this to make anyone look bad. I'm not saying this to go and like put a target on anyone. I'm gonna try to keep names out of it. But I will say it's gonna be really emotional, really vulnerable, and since I was a child, God gave me a gift to feel pain beyond what I can see, beyond what the treatment of me was. To know that there's something deeper beyond the people that hurt me than like surface level. Like they have a reason. It's not a good one, but there is a reason for acting that way. It's a lot of family generational trauma. So, um, I will start by saying, this happened. The start of the story will start when I was 12 years old and what I've been through. Um, See, I'm already forgetting this, so I wrote it down. I can say the family bounded by generational trauma. I think the first person to try and break the cycle was my grandmom when she came to Christ. Um, we all tried our best to get to know him, but we grew up in a way that we only knew of him. So my parents tried their best to get me to live by the Ten Commandments, which I did up until I was 21. Um, they got us to know of Jesus, so I knew of him. I knew his royalty, I knew he was a king, and that would be used against me when I became older. So by the age of 12, there was a whole shift in my life where my family seemingly turned against me and no one defended me. There was a lot of anger risen up. Um, I was ignored, I was degraded, I was neglected. Anytime I had any kind of problems, I had no one. I can say I was alone for 14 years. The people that I thought were friends were just there to make it worse. Um, I don't know what everyone went through, but at the age of 12, it was just a vicious cycle of being told how useless I was, how much no one will ever want me, how ugly I am. I said that so fast, it sounded like one word, how ugly I am. How unwanted I was, how no one cared about what I had to say. Um, how I should have never been born. And, Jesus. Nope, it's like too early. Okay. I remember several times as a child trying to speak out about what was going on in my life, and I was turned away from every single person. Um, Either my siblings were becoming independent in the way of like, oh, you're the annoying youngest sibling, or just having their own life and moving on and saying, what I'm going through right now is in front of me, you're behind me. So I never had love, affection, or like protection growing up. And that being said, like I said, I don't want like this to paint like a target. Everyone was going through something, and I will not know unless they open up. But I felt it like in my spirit. Everyone went through something. This is why like I can say I do not hate anyone in my family. I had hurt, but to hate, I knew there's something. Maybe one day I'll know, but I don't know what the something is. And I went looking for love. Like the only time I got hugged was when I went to church, like 2 years ago or a year ago. So I never had love, affection, none of that stuff. Um, I met someone. I was older one day at the library, and he showed love and affection and support. He would listen to me. He would hug me. He would hold my hand. He had a lot of affection in him. I was with him from the age of 12 to 13 and a half, 14 years old. And he quickly became abusive. He was the only person I had to talk to, the only person that made me feel what I thought love was, because back in my life, he showed everything I was used to. Um, I used to get punished for like crying or like laughing and things like that. So he used to hit me a lot when I just like spoke out of term, spoke when I wasn't spoken to, when I didn't listen right, when I didn't do what he told me to do, or just because he had a bad day. And there's like a library in front of my school. Yeah, in front of my school. Behind it was a playground. I would go back there with one of my friends and him, and I would just get, you know, I would get beaten. And I thought it was love because, like, how I was raised up, the nice things that they do for you surpasses all that. It means that they love you. So, yeah, I was hit a lot. It's to the point that till this day, it was a lot of body shots. It was the places where my parents won't see, where I don't show them. You're not gonna be like, "Hey, mom, look at my belly." Um, till this day, my bones, my rib cage, really sensitive, really fragile. That's why I can't take like no tight hugs or like wear like tight clothes or whatever. It hurts. But by the age of 14, he was murdered, and that's when I started questioning God because I'm like, bro, you done took away the only person I had in my life. Like, do you love me? What's going on? And I knew free will, and I knew it happened for a reason. So that is what shifted my mind towards the decline away from God. Um, I thought I deserved a punishment because every time I reached to get friends or anything like that, they betray me. They would leave. My family would leave. I would get ignored. Doors slammed in my face, and now the only person I had got killed. So I was like, that's it. I deserve to suffer, and I did something wrong. I believed in the concept of free will. Everything happens for a reason. People do things on their own, which has the cause and effect value. I'm not going to blame God for every single thing. Even when I get to the worst part of my life, I did not blame God, and I will not blame God. Why am I being punished? What's happening? When are you going to stop this? Yeah, but I never said, you did this to me. Why did you? No. Um, I know. I would ask him several times growing up why he wouldn't end my life, and I entertained the idea of suicide heavily. Um, I figured, like, if I'm living to lose everyone, then maybe there's a mistake. I don't belong here because no one deserves to suffer and be alone. And this was like from the age of like 12 to 14, and that's not even a fraction of 14 years of abuse. So there was a lot that had happened. Um, he was my only source of hope in a weird, distorted way that I thought was love. And after he left, I had no one else to run to, and I was super, super, super suicidal. I tried everything you could think of, and it got to a point that the person that I lived with thought I was doing it for attention. Me saying, hey, I'm gonna cut myself, like, I don't want to live anymore. I love you guys. You're just doing that for attention. I would never go and say, hey, this is like attempt number 58 at killing myself. I would just be like, please help me. Like, send a song or something to reach out, anything. And, like, no matter what I've done, it never worked. I can tell you, I've done everything, obviously, except jumping off a building or, like, shooting myself. Those are the only things I've never tried. And, I wanted to escape the house and escape my life. And I felt the only way I could was to be hospitalized. And when that was figured out, I wasn't allowed to go to the hospital anymore. I was told, if you're gonna do that, then you can go die in your room. So, by the age of 15, I was cutting, popping pills, and drinking, and I was barely in school. I was told by one of my doctors at St. Christopher's Hospital that if I kept living the way I've lived and continue doing what I've been doing, that I will not live to the age of 26. And, yeah. So, throughout that time, knowing that there was a God out there, you can say, why were you born into this family? You can say, if you loved me, why did you put me here? Why am I being abused? Why is my portion pain? But since I was a child, and each and every person that hurt me and abandoned me, I felt something deeply rooted in their core that they did not let go of. I didn't realize there was a dog hair on me. I knew I wasn't the reason, but I didn't know why I was, like, who they chose to hurt. But my heart told me, it's not your fault. But my mind told me, you deserve it all, you know? So it was a struggle, and I believed in God. But if I deserve all of this, there's no coincidence if I spent 14 years suffering that I'm not the problem. That's what my mind said. So if I'm the problem, God, and you have all these issues, why would I talk to you? Why would I make things harder for you? What would, like, what could I possibly do to benefit you by reaching out to you and talking to you about what I've been through? I'm like, I was born into this life. I'm going through these things. It must be my life. And everyone I've ever tried to talk to left me. So I had in my mind that if I tried to love you too, God, the only one that I knew loved me, if I went and approached him, he believed me too. So that's why I stood away from him. I would always thank him for the things that he's done for me, my family, especially my fur babies. Dave, he used them to save my life like so many times. Give me a second. My bad, y'all. Hey, my mom called. Why didn't y'all tell me my hair was lopsided and that angle wasn't good? But no, back to the testimony. I was talking about my dogs, and they play a key role in my life because, um, growing up, the only friends I had were my dogs. I would try to approach a relative, and they would be literally busy, look at me, walk away, go to their rooms, close the door, or just boldly, bluntly say, I don't care. Go talk to your damn dogs. So I spent my life talking to animals like Mrs. Doolittle. I still do it in the street and all that. Um, but they were my rock. Especially my girl TT. She's not with me no more. But I had TT through every single abusive relationship I've ever had in my life. And I know now I will never have one again. Unless I'm stupid enough to try and make my own decision based off of my hurt or what I'm yearning for and not trust God, then I will probably go back into a pit, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. So I felt The only source of love I had was from them. And I'm not coming at anyone in my life. Nobody was taught love. It was a generation of basically, I'm gonna sustain you, make sure you eat, have a good place to like lay your head. I do not blame anyone. No one was taught love. No one knew who God really was. No one knew who the creator of love was. A lot of us, I heard somewhere that your life and your childhood is literally the foundation of a building. If you've ever seen people building a building or a house, you see like the plywood, you see the foundation on the floor and everything built in. Your childhood is the foundation of where the building blocks will go. And if that foundation is cracked, then your life will be cracked until you find something to fulfill it and lead you in the right way. Therapy or God and therapy. But that's what it was. And what was this? Okay, I scrolled down too quick. After that happened, this led me to my lot moment in 2016, where the one time I prayed to God, He did not listen to me. The only thing I had was my doggies and my childhood home. In 2016, I lost all my friends. I found out that every single person that was in my life, even like I should have known, they were never there for me. They were fake. I mean, like friends and stuff. Um, in 2016, our house went through foreclosure, and I begged and begged, and I said, God, this is the first time I am talking to you. I don't deserve it. Can you please help us? This is all I have. I lost everything. I lost my friends. I lost my dogs, half of them, and I lost my home. And I made a promise to never speak to God again. Maybe that was too much of a big ask of you, or maybe I just didn't deserve what I asked for. Maybe I've done something wrong. But this is the start of my 5 years of torment. We had to move to a new house that we couldn't afford. Um, but I really wanted to try and gain that love back as a daughter. So I went to work with one of my aunts that was the most evilest person I've ever met. And I say that, but throughout my life, evil surpasses evil, and it just gets to like new highs I never knew existed. But there was, like I said, generational stuff. We had to work with her. Me and my brother. He was the only one left at the time. My older brother, not eldest, because there's four of us, and we worked together with that evil aunt, and she would publicly humiliate us in front of our coworkers. She said that we were partaking in incest, and she tried to auction off my virginity and like sex traffic me to a bunch of immigrant workers that they're not even from here, so they could have done whatever and left. And no one believed me. And if it was believed to happen, it was like just go pray and go back. And the place that we lived in, we weren't allowed to have these dogs. That's like how everywhere is now. Like it's so expensive and you can't have pets. So I always felt on edge that we would get discovered and I would lose the other pieces of them that I had. We'd have to hide them. Um, so on top of the job and on top of the hiding, that's what happened. Um, I started to get closer to my brother, but with all the abuse, like these coworkers would gather around us, laughing at us, pointing at us, and just they're speaking Spanish. We do not know Spanish, but you know what a laugh is in every language and pointing. You know those stares when somebody judging you. So it got to a point that my bro, we were finally getting close. And what's like the top team, right? We were finally getting close, and it became so much that he fled to Texas and I never saw him again. Till this day. So I was stuck with her. And I couldn't leave because I had to support my family. My aunt would be like, after my bro left, my aunt would be like, oh, you know you need this job. And just like manipulate me and just dangle it over my head and just make my life a living hell. Um After he left, a new coworker came in that that would then try to drag me into the bathroom one day when no one was around because we had different floors to work in. I think it was like maybe 12 stories or something. I was on the 8th floor. And he tried to drag me into the bathroom. And I told my family. No one believed me. It was told to my aunt what happened. And the next day, I come into work and everyone's waiting for me in the parking lot clapping. And then they're like, oh, he tried to drag you into the bathroom. And they gathered around me and they started pointing at me and they started laughing at me. And at that moment, I knew, like, if I don't get out of here, I am going to end my life. Um, and I tried to. I went onto the 5th floor when no one was around. Like, I knew the times, yo. I was looking at the security. And I went out onto the balcony. And I timed when the train would be coming. And I went to go jump over the guardrail. And there was no one there. To go in and out of the doors, you have to use like a little key card. It looks like a credit card. And it would make a beeping noise to go in, to go out. No one with me. So I'm like, okay. I put one leg over the guardrail like this. And I put the other leg over. And I'm just standing there waiting to jump. And I hear the train. You hear like the whistle thing. And you hear the right? And this guy's like, excuse me. Ma'am, what are you doing? Out of nowhere. It was a black man. He had like a pullover shirt thing. It was like navy blue, and he had like a navy blue hat and like sweats on. And he's like, excuse me, ma'am, what are you doing? And I looked at him. And he said, you know you're not finished here, right? There's still more that you need to do. And he said, come back. So I turned away from him and I turned to look. And now the train was passing me. It was right there. So I turned back around and looked at him angry. And there was no one there. But I got desperate and I knew I needed to get out. So I was just venting. I was venting to someone that one of the people in my family was close with. My brother's friend. And I knew him. And he was super abusive, man. He was like blaming everything on me, taking his anger out on me. And I thought it was because of his mom and her being like a drug addict. So when I went to reconnect with him again, his mom was dead and I didn't know. And I'm like, okay, so your problem's gone. You're a better person. Oh, Lord. I knew that someone I was close to always wanted me to be with him, always wanted me to date him. And I thought marrying him would make that person happy. They spoke about it. And my brother was like, you don't need to talk to him. Trust me, he's not good for you. He's dangerous. He's really effed up. He's really broken. You really should not be doing that. But he kind of said it like with an attitude, like real nasty with me. So I'm like, nah, like you're not gonna tell me what to do and be all rude like that and just like come to me gently. But we don't know that. We didn't learn that. So wait. Eventually, this friend of my brother's would go and speak to someone in my family that liked him and say how much he really wanted to help. So it was decided that I would get into an arranged marriage for his mom's life insurance money. But he would have to move in. And I really wanted to leave that job and I wanted to earn the love I never had growing up. So I did it. I was not serving God in any way, shape, or form, obviously. So you're not going to see me blaming him for my free will. I felt that my sacrifice of my life made everyone happy. And I thought that God was happy too because marriage, like I said, I knew nothing about God at all. I know you're king, you're grand, your miracles, your creation. You are to be adored, you are loved. That's it. Like nobody knew anything. We were all trying our best. And I'm like, ooh, marriage. I'm blessed. That's it. God's happy. Like, I waited till marriage. Boom. I didn't realize, in that moment that free will goes both ways. So, he moved in with me, and he has a mentally handicapped brother. So I thought, I get to finally take care of a kid, even if physically he's not a kid. But I soon realized that he was not raised right at all. And this would be a hard lesson at the mental expense of me and the person I lived with. It was a super hard lesson. But I learned that he stole other people's belongings. He stole everything he could get his hands on. He would rip up his clothes. He would roam around the house and hover over you and watch you sleep. Sometimes with weapons. And he became a nightmare. I heard that he always acted that way. It wasn't until we moved in together that he told me that he would hurt himself or others if he was punished, including my dogs. My husband had knowledge of this, but he didn't bother to inform us. It was usually after we discovered it physically happening that he would know about it or be like, oh yeah. We would tell him what happened and he would do nothing about it. He would not let us scold, discipline, or correct his brother any way, shape, or form. We would spend weeks at a time cleaning up after him, and everything that he ruined or messed up. And this boy would pee and poop everywhere. He was smeared all over his body, smeared all over the furniture, all over the walls. He would break things, he would steal things, he would eat everything. It was just the worst condition to be in. And I lived with these people for 5 years. So, more in the story, the more I tried to discipline my ex-husband's brother, the worse the abuse got. It went. Y'all, I'm only here because of God. That's all I can say. Obviously, he started treating me bad. He kept saying that we nag too much, that we won't let him live his life. And, every time I spoke to him and grew a voice, the abuse got more and more. Like, there was more and more force behind it. Like, I feel like in the beginning, he was revving up, like, his car to go take off with all that abuse. Like, it was a big build up. So I never realized that in my efforts of trying to please someone else, serve someone else, and gain the love back that I never had, that I married a narc, the worst person ever that I've ever met in my life. The abuse started with verbal, it started with emotional, it started with psychological, and this is while I was still living with my parent, and God revealed to me after I was in the process of being healed that in the midst of the abuse that was witnessed was when I got kicked out. So we were living with his parent, and they were like, you know what, enough is enough. They sent us to go to Dollar Tree with a list of things that they needed. And, well, first, they were like, go find a place to live. Then, when we were maybe, I think it was 2 days after the settlement, we were given that list of errands to go do. And, they were like, do you want to stay with him? Or do you want to stay here with me? And I did not want my first marriage to be a bust, but I was already being abused. Like, he was already starting with the not the physical, with the verbal, emotional, and mental and psychological abuse here. The gaslighting and everything. He blamed me for everything, and he bullied me. And there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of screaming, a lot of withholding, like, love emotions, or things like that on purpose. It was just a lot that happened within the first couple of months, and I had to figure out a way to distance myself from my ex-husband and not feel like a failure at the marriage and wonder what am I going to do with the money and losing my job. And before I could decide, we were sent to go buy some stuff, and when we came home, all of our stuff was packed on the porch, in the living room, and we were told, get out my house. At least we had a day after that. But, you know, it made it hard to heal that there was witness, and I was still kicked out. I already felt like a failure, obviously. But, so me and all my dogs were thrown out. And at that moment, I didn't realize my heart could break any more than it already has. During the abuse with my ex-husband, I started self-harming again. I would sit in ice cold baths and just self-harm. The only way I would feel safe is to sleep in my bathtub for the first couple of months of being married because I don't know, I would run in there and cry with my pillow, my blanket, and cry myself to sleep in the bathtub because that's the only way I felt embraced. At that moment of having witnessed my current childhood, I knew that no one would come save me. So I knew I was in for life, and I thought I would this would be like my final resting place. So before I get into more of the testimony, I would like to say, before I continue any further, I would like to say that there is going to be a lot of explicit details coming up that I haven't mentioned yet. Um, Sexual abuse and things like that. So be mindful, like if that's something that you went through or something that will trigger you as well. I should have gave a disclaimer for the self harm, but I just thought about that right now. Um, I'll probably write it up. But after I got kicked out, now living with this man, he had ground rules. My role in the house would be to cook, to clean, to sleep with him, to take care of his brother, to get his brother's clothes ready, because there was like something called Comar, like a workshop for um, handicapped individuals, like kind of like an adult daycare, but they called it workshop. So, I had to get his meals ready. I had to bathe him because he would smear poop all over his body and all that. So I had to clean him, change his clothes, wash his clothes, give him lunch, cook the dinner, give him breakfast, wait for the bus to come, clean the house, and that was my life. Um, I remember trying to reach out to him at some point, my ex-husband, and be a good wife to him, but he told me I was only good for food and sex. So after that was a thing, um, that kind of kickstarted what he would begin to do to me. But before that, I tried to rebel here and there, and I tried to set my own rules, and I would try to set my own kind of rules and have like my own like independent, you know, like my own independence in that house, and it was quickly shut down. Um, he slowly took my freedom away. He would not allow me to get a job. At first, he said he would pay for everything, but then he started like sabotaging me from getting a job in every way, shape, or form. The more I rebelled, the more um, like worse he got. I guess you could say. Um, he would lock me in the house. It was like one of those locks that you need to open in the front and the back. Like you can't just like do one thing. He took away my rights to leave the house. He took away my rights to speak to my family. He took away my rights to use my phone. He put cameras in all four corners of the living room and would watch me. I wasn't allowed to leave sight of the cameras. I wasn't allowed to use the bathroom with the door closed. There was no shower curtain in my bathroom that he gave me. Just things like that. Monitoring my phone calls. Um, and I knew no one would help me. He also made me feel like a failure of a wife when I didn't do what he wanted. He would sabotage me emotionally, mentally. He would gaslight me. He would follow me all over the house, making sure I knew what I was to him, who I was to him, um, and that I was only there to support him and make his life easier. And I thought I deserved it because my life, how it been. Like, I got married when I was like 20, so, or 21, you know? Um, so I was like, enough is enough. Like, I'm not doing this no more. I realized that he wasn't gonna change. And the result of that was, I'm like, I'm gonna stop everything you want me to do. I'm not doing it no more. And because of that, I had to sleep on the hardwood floor for about 3.5 years. Um, that's true. Every single winter and all of that, I had to share a big giant quilt on the floor with my doggies and a pillow because I did not want to sleep with him no more. But I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm gonna sleep on the floor. You're not gonna guilt me into that. But after he brought like recliners and some furniture, he started being really nice to me. Um, and there was peace in the house for a little bit. There was peace in the house, and I didn't think anything of it. And it's about to get real explicit, y'all, because after work he'd come home, see how I was doing, make sure I had food, takeout mainly. He didn't know how to cook, and he would offer me drinks every night, like water or juice or something, and I would sleep peacefully on the recliner. I started waking up sore. I started waking up with my clothes ruined. Um, I had blood and so much fluid in between my legs, more than one time that I couldn't even open my legs properly. Like, my legs were stuck together by this unknown fluid. And I reached out and I was told to either call the police and pray about it. I did not call the police because I knew no one else would support me if things got bad. Because I still had to live with that man. I had nowhere to go with all my dogs. Um, it was already proven that no one would help me and no one would provide a place for us. And I thought that the person I married would never hurt me because I didn't know the concept of God and marriage. I'm like, this is blessed. Y'all said to get married, everything will be good. He would never hurt me. And it persisted. The symptoms, um, it got worse. I had like issues prior. I had like ovarian cysts all over my uterus. So my ex would tell me maybe something was flaring up and maybe you're just going through like women issues because you're getting older. It got to the point that I had to wear diapers for 3 years. Not 3 years, for 3 months. Jesus. For 3 months because at this rate my muscles down there were just ruined. Um, I couldn't use the bathroom on my own anymore. I could barely walk, and I was always bleeding. Not always bleeding, but it was the blood, and my body was just not working anymore. It was just random bleeding, and I could not hold my pee. I couldn't, none of that. So I knew something was not adding up. But he granted me permission to go to the hospital. I was still told to go pray, but I'm like, I'm gonna get help. And the doctor that was there that day, I will never forget her name. Her name is Selena Davis. And after she checked me up, she kind of stared at me and told me to stay here and calm, like to remain calm. So I stayed in the hospital room. And I'm like, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's something bad. Like, why do I have to stay calm for? And she comes in with the police and reads me off what she found. Selena goes, "Is that man in the waiting room your husband?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And Selena goes, "It's a safe place here. Be honest with me. Has he been hurting you?" And in my mind, I'm like, "No. This marriage is good. Marriage is a good thing. Like if I'm blessed by marriage, then everyone's perfect. I'm perfect. He's perfect. He would never hurt me. Like this is a rough patch." And that's how the enemy had everything like distorted in my head. Like my normal was the abuse. That was my normal. I'm used to it. Like it was an everyday occurrence. It wasn't anything I wasn't familiar with. So that means it's okay. And I'm like, "No, he didn't hurt me." She's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember him hurting me. I didn't remember him hurting me because I found out he was drugging me up with those drinks every night that he gave me. He was putting Benadryl in my drinks and drugging me up. So by me saying I don't remember, I literally don't, and I never witnessed him doing these things to me, and it was the truth." So I told her that. I'm like, I didn't tell her about the like being drugged up part because I didn't find out until later. Things come to light, and I'm like, I do not recall him hurting me in any way. I don't remember it. And she was like, "Do we need to get the police involved in any way?" And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sorry. And Selena goes and tells me that my internal organs look like I have been brutally raped. That my muscles were knotted up from all the friction and abuse that they went through. Like my pelvic floor muscles and everything else was balled up like a knot, like brutal force and abuse had happened. My uterus is pushed towards my spine more, and there was just a lot of deception over my eyes because of my ignorance that I had. Um, I'm guessing maybe to look good, my ex let me go back there for physical therapy, but that was it. Um, I went through that alone, all that pain and everything. But I still, like, I tried to get close to God, and I tried to speak to Him, and I used the YouVersion Bible to say the guided prayers because I had nothing to say to God. Like, my mind was gone. I could not think of anything but thank you for my dogs and your love. That's all I had to say. Like, I couldn't think of anything else. I said, "Lord, I hope you know I'm grateful." That's it. But when I tried to pray, that's when I realized in the back of my mind, this seemed a little demonic because when I started to pray, I was not allowed to use the TV no more. I was not allowed to put sermons on. My ex said that this is manipulative. They're lying to you. They're turning you against me. And it was literally, it was Joseph Prince, and it was about how you can miss the person God has for you. Because God sends blessings like shooting stars. And sometimes you're somewhere you're not supposed to be for so long, ignoring God. And He will send that shooting star, and you will miss it and blame Him. So he got way worse when that started happening. He even destroyed my Bible. I forgot about that. Um, there's like a brand called Precious Moments. I know maybe a few of y'all have seen it before. And it was a Bible that my mom and my aunt, they saved up money to buy me. I had it since 2000. like the 2000s, like early 2000s. And it was my first ever Bible. It was a cute little pink Bible. It had my name and everything. And what my ex-husband did, he threw it on the floor near the litter box on Psalms 91, right? Y'all Christians know what that's about. He opened the Bible to page Psalms 91, and that is the page that my cat peed on and ripped up, and then decided to rip up the rest of the Psalms from my Bible. And I kind of knew, even with no knowledge of like demonic stuff or like spiritualism or none of that, I knew something was a little bit off, you know? Like, okay. But the abuse got so bad that my mind got fractured to the point where I did not know who I was sometimes. I did not know my name. I would have like manic spells of screaming hysterically because this man would follow me all over every single room, throwing things in my face, every single room, manipulating me, making me feel bad. It's like, you're a piece of crap. Like, anything, any insecurity that you have or your weakest point, imagine someone saying it over and over and over, following you everywhere. There's no locks. I was locked behind bars in Kensington. I could not leave. I had to endure that every single day for 5 years. No escape. No one, nothing, no light or anything. Did you put the volume up? Nothing. There wasn't anyone. It was to the point that I was allowed on the front porch. I should be grateful. But it's to the point that some of my neighbors would come up to me and say, "I'm so sorry you're going through this. I wish for you to be free," and I would cry with my neighbors. But it started getting more dangerous when my ex brought a gun. My ex brought a gun right after my dog died of cancer, and I was at the lowest of lows in that place because that was my baby, Mia. I had her since, I don't know, I had her for a long time. And he brought a gun. He brought a gun, and I started actually fearing for my life. My ex-husband told me that he could kill me and his brother because his brother has a history of self-harm, and so do I, and he's mentally handicapped, and there's a bunch of records of him hurting himself and others, and he told me he can just shoot me and make it look like a murder-suicide. So at that moment, my heart cried out for God to give me a reason to live. Or kill me. And this is getting closer to when I met God. And everything prior that I said was within the first 2 years of marriage. So, got to a point where I was openly mocked, ridiculed, slandered on the internet on an app called Discord. My ex-husband would have me watch him cheat on me with other people, like masturbating on camera with men, with women, flirting with them. I know, I'm sad. Thanks for the hug. He met these women in Canada that he wanted to meet. Right after the whole murder-suicide thing, and he quietly got a passport and tried to flee to Canada. So when I seen that he was doing that, I knew at some point soon that he was going to kill me. And around this time, he let me out the house, and we went to ShopRite, where he coached me how to look, how to act, so people won't look at me and think I was being abused. Um, Obviously, we fought there. We fought on the way home, and he was just speeding like crazy, going home like, I don't want to be near you. I effing hate you. Blah blah blah. So on the way home, there's like a little one way, and then like the house is like this. Okay, whatever. And on the way home, we almost hit this cute little tan dog. And in my heart, I felt fear. And I felt pain. So once we parked, my husband opened all the doors and he ran into the bathroom. He said he had to go really bad. He ordered me to take the groceries in which I did. But I threw them on the floor. And I said, God, I hope that dog is somewhere I can find him. So I want to like talk to him. And Pippa, what happened? You okay? And I went up the block. What happened, Mimi? I went up the block looking for that dog. And he was waiting for me in front of a church. Y'all. It took me 2 hours to gain his trust. It was in November. It was in November. It was snowing that day. And it took me 2 months to gain his trust. 2 months. 2 hours to gain his trust. And I was running back and forth. You want a cage? Do you want dog food? Do you want a blanket? And my ex-husband was in the bathroom that whole time. Glory to God. There were times when he tried to run from me, the doggy, but he came back. And I ended up bringing him home. November 14th, which is my mom's birthday. November 14th, this is getting ahead of this testimony. The other ones that I have coming of how God restored things. I got my divorce November 14th as well. But I later realized that dog had been abused as well. All of the mannerisms in that house, the yelling, the screaming, the throwing things, the physical abuse made him curl up in a ball, made him cry out, made him scared. And he would literally get on his hind legs and try to push us apart. And God told me that he gave me a little Scrappy to soften my heart. And I never knew I had any love left in it. But there was a weaker being that was hurt and abused and innocent that didn't deserve it. So he changed my heart. And y'all know I love animals. He became really protective of me. And me of him. But then the passport came. And my ex got really upset because I confronted him over it. He was planning to abandon me and his handicapped brother with no money, no food or nothing. Well, except the groceries we just did. But that's not going to be enough for the lifetime of you not being here and me probably being locked behind that gate. But after the back and forth of me finding out about the passport, things got quiet. And it did not prepare me for what he was going to do. Now, around that time, he worked the Target in a graveyard shift, and I would sleep all day and stay up all night because my brother-in-law would try to kill me, would try to hurt me. He took a toy gun and cocked it back and pointed it to my head and pretended to shoot me after we got the real gun. So I feared for my life. I stood up all day and slept all night. But this night, I was so tired that I fell asleep. And I was laying on my back, and little Scrappy was in between my legs, right? I did not hear my ex-husband come in, but I heard him screaming, and I heard growling and loud, angry dog noises. And when I woke up, he was dangling off of my husband's belly, up in the air, dangling off like this. And there's blood everywhere, and he tore a piece of my ex-husband's stomach off. Now, I do not know what he was planning to do, but my dog attacks anyone that gets near me. If I'm sitting, if I'm sleeping. If you touch me, anytime he's on me or near me, he's going to attack you. So I'm not sure what he was going to do. But he got really angry, and I know now in the quiet and in the waiting that something bad was going to happen, but it didn't happen until months. I found out that my Chihuahua Pitbull was going to be a mommy for the first time and give birth to little Moo Moo. He's a little miracle. Glory to God. He saved all of us. But he was meant for me, yo. Before he could open his eyes, he would find me. Before he could even walk, like dragging his body, he would find me everywhere in the house. He was always beside me. And then no one wanted to adopt him because they said he was ugly. But I feel like God ordained him to be in my life. God actually told me one day the purpose of every dog in my life by name, by the name that I gave them. He never told me Layla and Titi's purpose. They are the oldest dogs in the house. And Layla currently suffers from seizures here and there, and Titi is not here anymore. So by him not telling me that their purpose, it means to me that they have fulfilled their purpose in my life, or is coming close to it. But I had little Moo Moo here, and I know for certain that if you are a child of God, He will show you in the ways that you understand that He loves you, you know? For me, it was always with my fur babies. He would speak your language of love and also teach you His own. So, He sees how much you love the things that you do and that He understands you. And Moo Moo was a blessing. So, my ex waited to gain the trust of him. He was always a little shy, scared doggy. Excuse me. If anyone comes over, he will run and hide. He's still scared. So, it took some time to gain the trust of Moo Moo. But after he gained his trust, he would feed Junior Vienna sausages with poison. And Junior is really greedy. I used to have the pictures of what happened with him and everything, but I deleted it after the court hearing for the divorce. But by the time we got to the doctor, the poison was already absorbed in the system, and there was a tiny, tiny percentage of poison that they found, but they couldn't distinguish what the components was. They couldn't distinguish what exactly it was, but it was poison. It was already too late, and he was dying. And I believe the devil done did his work because there was no way for him to live. And the doctors tried to get me alone to speak to me and ask me if this was intentional. And my husband got real nasty with them, got real aggressive with them. He put Junior back in his little carry-on case and he said, "Come on, let's go home." So he never gave me the chance to speak out about my puppy being poisoned. But after that, maybe a day later, Scrappy would go into the yard. I did not have prior knowledge that they were fumigating, an abandoned building nearby. So the rats were running rampant. I believe that he knew. I told him not to let the dogs in the yard. He let the dogs in the yard, and Scrappy ripped open a rat with poison, and now Scrappy was dying as well. So, I felt, again, like a failure. I could have nothing that I love, and it was my job to protect them as a fur mommy. And, I knew that they were going to die alone. No one's going to help us. But this was the second time I actually spoke to God. Like, the things that I asked for prior was in my heart, but I never knew He heard. I never knew He was always there. So, I prayed to God for the first time. Again. I followed Scrappy upstairs. He was throwing up blood all the way upstairs and just dragging his butt along and just crying really loud. And, I knew, well, my mind told me I deserved suffering. Something I did to be born into it. And something I did that everyone I love would take their anger out on me and abuse me, that maybe I was the problem. So I thought my heart was broken when I got kicked out, but this was a new thing to see these innocent dogs suffer. So at that moment, I followed Scrappy upstairs to my husband's room. He was at work, and Scrappy got onto the mattress, and the light of the moon like started shining on him. And I said, "You know, God, I'm going to pray to you." And I said, "Father, in the name of Jesus, I know I do not talk to you. I know things happen for a reason, but I ask for your will to be done in the lives of my dogs. I ask that you end their suffering right now, please." Don't let them suffer the way I do, and do not let me watch them die. May they fall asleep forever. And if you do, and if you make a way for me to get out of this house alive, I will give my life to you, and I will serve you till the end of my days. In Jesus' name, amen. And it's really important that I said, if I make it out of this house alive, because I'm getting to the end of this testimony where I should not be here. Literally. Some of you, if any of you make it this far, will not believe that I'm here and will not believe that I survived that. But glory to God. Right after I prayed, the lights went out. I fell asleep on the floor. And I wasn't even tired. But I woke up. What happened? Come on. Shh. Oh, they're gonna fight. Why are you pushing him? It's Junior and Scrappy. Scrappy went to come over and Junior just ran over and like mugged him. But I woke up to my head being stomped on. And to hearing like running around and roughhousing. And when I woke up, it was Scrappy and Junior. There was no way. And I can testify every single animal in this house having no money to save them. In conditions where the humans on this earth said they're gonna die, my God said, nah, they're not gonna die. It's not their time. Here's my little Scrappy. Okay, thank you. But that's not the end, you know? My ex thought I'm going to end this Amanda problem once and for all. And, after this happened, where, oh, you see little Moo Moo? Okay. Alright, thank you. Thank you. I need to finish. I love y'all. I love y'all. And my babies. Okay? But, after the miracle happened with my babies, I feel like hell was upset. The devil got infuriated because I went blind. I went blind. Yes, I did. I became diabetic out of nowhere. And I lost my vision for a couple weeks. And what a perfect opportunity to try and kill me. Because my ex-husband was no longer targeting my animals. He decided to target me. And this would be the last 3 years of my marriage. I needed a new diet. All he would give me would be either fast food or you starve. And he told me that. What are you doing? My ex-husband said, I will not feed you anything. I will not give you, I will not feed you anything. I will not help you with that diet. I will not get you that food that you need because it's expensive and I'm paying for it. No one's helping you with food. I am not helping you. You eat what I give you or you starve. And I said, okay, I will starve. And I should have. And I should have starved, but that was not my portion because I'm right here. And the last 3 years of my marriage, I only had oatmeal, water, and cornflakes with almond milk here and there whenever he'd buy me some. For 3 straight years, y'all. He would feed my dogs, but sometimes he wouldn't. And I'd have to feed them my only food, my cornflakes. I have a really pure heart. And if I had to go about eating for them to eat, it didn't matter. They never deserved any of the things that happened to them when we were in that house. And, I grew really, really weak. I should have never lived, but one day, my family's heart changed and they said, you know what? Come back home. We'll take you with the dogs. It doesn't matter if the living conditions are harder. And as soon as I got out of that house, they took me to the doctors. They took me to a doctor's called Maria de los Santos. I think it's too late to say it. I'll put it in the description, but I am in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it's a place over here. And they took me to Maria de los Santos. I had at least 3 to 4 blood tests a week when I first got out that house. 3 or 4 blood tests a week. Appointments with nutritionists. They said there must be something wrong with the blood work. There must be something wrong with your vitals and with your record because they checked me several times. I think when I first got there, it was months of tests being ran. I had no vitals. The only thing they found in me was my blood and was my heartbeat. I'm telling you, blood test after blood test, nurse after nurse, doctor after doctor. How could this be? Now I go back to that prayer, right? Do not let me watch them suffer and die. May they fall asleep forever. And if you do that, if I make it out of this house alive, I will give my life to you. And I will serve you till the end of my days. Now you tell me. They were calling me the Walking Dead in that hospital. And it's several doctors and several nurses telling me there is no way you should be alive right now. And I tell them that it was God. The goodness of God. How do you survive off of oatmeal and cornflakes for 3 years? Right? Okay. Give me a second, y'all. I don't know if there's any leap years, but give me a second. 1,095 days alive by the grace of God. I couldn't even move. I could barely raise my arms. How am I able to make it to those appointments? How am I able to get my blood pressure taken? How am I able to breathe and walk and see and live? God. No, there was no other food. The man beat me, he raped me, he starved me. But I said to God, you do this for me, and I live, I will serve you. And I don't care who I lose. I don't care what I have and what I don't have. I lost everyone I loved at some point in my life, and I'm grateful to see my family change under His glory. But I will never leave. I don't care if I'm crazy. I don't care if people call this like angel porn or whatever. I owe my life. I owe my life to Him. And it is by my choosing and my free will to serve Him, to testify, to speak about Him. The things that I do is my free will, just as the things I've done before Him was my free will, and it's my choice. There is no human on this planet that made me follow God, but His goodness is what made me follow God. There's nobody that manipulated me, indoctrinated me, brainwashed me. No, if you lived in that home for 5 years, looking at the same walls, the same mark on the ceiling, being abused from no one for 5 years, but God was nice enough to not say, I'm going to let you drown and die in the pit that you put yourself in, to prove to me that He heard me when I turned my back, because I did not want to hurt Him too. I thought everyone I loved I hurt. I'm not going to hurt a king. I thought someone as small as me could hurt a king in heaven. I chose to suffer alone for 14 years. To spare Him, thinking I was like some plague or some kind of disease like not even God could touch, you know. He is in the process of restoring everything. Honestly, like, this is only one testimony. There's so much more. And I can tell you, each and every animal that I'm looking at, He has saved all of them. Because my brother-in-law, my ex-husband's brother, tried to kill my Chihuahua pit bull by putting Lysol down her throat. Layla is a walking testimony. Every day she's getting stronger and stronger. She only gets seizures sometimes on Saturday nights. And that just writes itself. And you, I wish y'all seen what he just did. You shouldn't be here, Mumu. But you here. I know TT's not here right now, but it was her time to go, and she had a pyrometria. If y'all don't know what that is, I called every hospital in Pennsylvania asking for prices. I had no money and I got called a useless effing dog mom, a bad owner. You're effing stupid. Your dog's gonna die. It's way past the point of basically they have what's the word? You have like a certain amount of time to live with this condition. She was 3 days over the fact that she should have been dead. She should have been dying. She was just leaking everywhere, crying, not eating, and I laid on the floor for 3 days crying over her. For God to do something with her uterus, because pyometria is something that older dogs get when they're in heat. Their I don't know if it's their ovaries or uterus, they get full of pus, and it basically blows everything up like a balloon and kills them. It could rupture, it could kill them. Her stomach was like this big, right? And I stood on the floor and I said to God, please do not let her suffer. Like, if she's gonna die, let her die now. Like, why suffer? 3 days on the floor. She was in like a little doggy kennel, and I was laying there with my little frozen blanket, and I woke up to her licking my face one morning. Like, I went to go check up on her, and she was there. She was happy. Her tummy was small. We got her fixed, because no vet... Oh, it's gonna be too messy of a surgery. Sorry. It's already in a worsened state. We're not gonna remove all that. Doctors, right? Okay, well, my God will do it for me. Okay? I shouldn't be here. I really shouldn't be here. In this house is another testimony that I was supposed to post before this one. Because it took me so long to do the, it's taken me long to edit that video. And this one is going to be way longer. But, we got her fixed, her uterus, and God gave her at least 3 or 4 more years with me. He is good. He is good to me. This is only like a big, beautiful cake. Like, this is not even the icing, because now the other testimonies would be him restoring my finances, my family, my life, my heart, my mind, my health, my home, my hope. Like, there's so much more that he's done. But he's been putting this on my heart. Like, you need to say this in the entirety of it. And I'm over at my dad's house right now. These animals should be a lot worse. He should have been down here annoying me. Like, get off. Glory to God. Like, this house is never quiet. What was that noise? Oh, it was you? Thanks for telling me. I've been sitting on it. I've been waiting to get a mic, yo. I've been scared. But now y'all know why I'm so quiet, why I stay to myself. I have really strong discernment, so I could, like, God be telling me about people and I'd be like, nah, I don't wanna sit with y'all. I wanna be, like, at y'all table. But I still pray. A lot of the issues that people have in their life is their own personal issues, and it just gets translated in different ways per person. Like, if they're taking it out on you, or if you experience, like, some of the backlash. But now y'all know, like, this is me. This is what I've been through. Being alone for 14 years. I'm used to being alone, but now I choose to be alone with God. And I am just happy to be alive for the first time ever in my life. And I'm grateful. Okay. He wants more hugs. It's always about him. No, thank you. What time is it? Maybe they want breakfast. I don't know when I'm gonna upload it, but it is December 5th and it is 9:25. So okay. What? Oh, he's still gassy. That's a TMI. Okay, well, I am. Until next time, y'all. I'm going for now. Okay, bye.